Hi guys, this is CNCP Great Lakes Division. I had a request from a subscriber to do a layout tour. It might be two parts, so I'll start with part one and we'll get started. So this is the basement. Got some photos on the wall. Then you come down. I'm sure everybody's seen the tunnel area where it goes through the stairs. There comes a V&L. I'll try and go slow because I'm on my old phone. I don't know how shaky it's going to be. And it just goes up under that little area there. And I got some more photos on the wall. Of course, like everybody probably got their train stuff up. We'll turn right. We'll go over this way. This was a crew lounge area. Had a table here for guys to come. This area here is coke ovens and some mining stuff. Of course, I got a photo of that. They're a little bit bigger than scale, but when you push them far back, they're okay because mining stuff is quite big. And this is Apache mine. And I also used to do operations there for a bit. So what I did for operations was I made up my own car cards, and then I got the containers at the dollar store, which were a lot cheaper than the three you buy for $15. These were like $1.25, so you can paint them to the theme of your layout and cut your car cards to whatever size you want with construction paper and whatever color. And it works perfectly. So as we transition over here, this is just my cupboard full of stock. Probably everybody's got a cupboard full of goodies. A lot of locomotives in there. That's the Jeep line, I guess, which I don't run much. Some Bowsers, the typical stuff. And we'll go over here. This is this will be the harbor side. As you can see, cement company. The harbor, I got a cruise ship in there, and I'll explain why in a minute. Then we got the Hewitt unloader, which is not in service anymore. 1992, I think in Cleveland was the last one. And then the boat. And you can see there's a little bit of coal loads in there. Of course, all the grain mills on the side, so you gotta have grain. You can see I put some coal in there, so it looks like there's coal. So why the passenger ship is there is that, here's a tip, what guys can do when they do operating sessions, if you do a river scene or canal scene, get some different types of boats in your system. Like here's a bulk carrier and a tug. So then what you can do is you can run an extra and actually run some passenger trains down here from your train station to the docks that people are going to get on a cruise and take off for a cruise, and then that way you can implement different pieces of boating equipment into your little canal scene if you choose to. And of course we got the aggregate, sand, gravel, all the usual that you'll find down on a dock. And then we'll pan over here, and then this is a little scene that this is where the hole goes through the wall onto the coaling side. And then over here we got a heavy equipment repair. We got some old machinery buildings. And then we transition into Rupert Mills, which is my version of a paper plant. We got our bulk loads coming in. And then everything is kind of along the wall. I kind of kit bashed it that way, just for the fact that sometimes the kits are large and they take up a lot of room, so I just kind of opened up the kits. And then in the far corner we've got Long Pine Turpentine Company, which is a byproduct of making paper. Various cylinders. Little power station. And then we got sandpaper, sandcastle paper for sandpaper. And then we got over there is the textile place, which will take some loads of cars and different materials. And then the yard here, little team track. Auto racks come in, cars go out. And then of course the yard. As you can see, the distance of the yard. So those far tracks there are basically 3 big long sidings, which I can hold quite a few cars, basically for the paper mill. And then we transition into the steel mill area, which I had a steel mill before, but I took it down and then I kept the spare parts and I just kind of mounted everything on the wall. So you can do the back side of any industry you want. You don't always have to do the front side of an industry, because you have to leave it open to your imagination. So this, actually the steel mill will probably go for a transition the other way, probably for another good 1/4 of a mile, because it's a giant facility. But I just choose to model just a little portion of it. And of course they'll take coal and various things, because you could fill your whole basement with steel mill products in that industry. And then as we transition down to the yard here, just got a little recycling shop. And then we got a little lumber area, scrap lumber. Still a lot of detail that I must do, but it's getting to that point now where I'm slowing down on the detailing. You could detail for the rest of your life if you wanted to. The little tower area. Of course, everybody's obviously seen the hill, because it goes up on a 2% grade and then it goes under there and around. Didn't do a helix, just did that. Works pretty good. And then this is my rendition of the ethanol area. Trucks come in here, get loaded with ethanol, leave. Of course, you gotta have a little diesel fuel in the process of it. And then everything's, scratch, all the piping. Scales. Tanks. Of course, a lot more detail could be instilled in this scene. Then we got the ADM, where you got to shrink it down. So you'll have, And of course, some of the cars are just a little big, but it seems to work. So then you got ethanol too, so I had to share the tracks. Some grain and some ethanol. You know, a couple carloads of ethanol. And then up the back walls, just a little highway going to, you could say, an overlook where everybody likes to go to watch the trains drift by. And then we'll take a tiny little spin here. And we'll go over to this side where the new cat industry is just moved in. Steel, of course they're making heavy equipment. And of course the auto plant, which shares it with the auto plant. Which this where the steel mill used to be, which I took down. But I do like the auto plant. And then I didn't do a big building, I just did a against the wall again so I could have boxcars come in, the trucks unload onto the boxcars, vice versa, boxcars from the building to boxcars, so you can do quite a few different little things. Because I do like the truck aspect of it too. And you can see there's a little door there where I could actually go into the wall, but I think it's just all beams there, so. It's quite a large scene. Now we'll just slide over to here a bit, towards the other more memorabilia, of course. Got to label it everywhere. Water tank, furnace, you name it, it's everywhere. And then over here in this corner, I keep changing it around a bit. But I do like the heavy equipment aspect of it. Now that's 150 scale, but I think it looks good. I kind of like that kind of, one of the best cats there is, that 5108B. I love it, it's great. And then actually was originally supposed to be like an off-road park where everybody comes to look for trains off the edge of the cliff there. And then as we transition over here, we got another little expressway. And then here is Heinz, the Heinz Pickle Factory. Which that scene has been before. And another little expressway. You guys seen that shot quite a few times probably. And then over here we've got a little bit, some more shelving of some various locomotives. Then I'll pan back around to this side. So that's just the one side of the room. In part two, I'll drop down and we'll go over to the other side of the layout. And there are some very, quite a few industries that I decided to model. Okay guys, we'll see you at part 2.